So we'll move on to agenda item 5, which is the president's report.
Great. Speaking of Congressman Bob Dole, he was here, as we mentioned, on Tuesday, and brought a few of his staff with, and actually spent a couple hours here, and we talked to him about a number of issues. I want to thank Trustee Phil Kerrigan and Student Trustee Annabella T-Day for attending. I think both did a good job of representing the board. And of course, some of Congressman Dole's interests were our manufacturing and our workforce development. So we brought him down to the manufacturing area, and the faculty showed them around in the classes and all that. And he had a good time talking to the students, I know. So he also talked a little bit about how he thought it was so not just the workforce areas, but asked how we were working with the high schools too. And so Dr. Haney is going to talk about that in item when we get into the student success and the launch of an initiative there that we talked to him about. I guess he can't get enough of CLC because he's coming back Saturday for the STEM Girls Conference. Yeah, I'm going to introduce him when he gives the closing remarks for the STEM Girl Conference on Saturday. And so the other thing Congressman Dole came and asked us about was, again, the American Promise, and we kind of talked to him about maybe there's a targeted approach out there, and Nick promised to write up and send him some more information, so we'll be working on that. I did want to mention just again, and moving on to a couple other things of interest. Carol Senti came here today, took time in her session, apologized again for missing our legislative dinner. We talked to her about trying to schedule that at a different time too, but we spent about, it seemed like an hour talking to her at least, and really going through a lot of our initiatives and catching her up with that individually. This was the week for visitors, I guess. The other one was Adam Khan. So some of you may have heard that name, but he came here at our request and brought some of his key staff. He's the gentleman who's opening up that entrepreneurial center in the new corporation in Gurnee. That's going to be what's the word I'm trying to get, the clean tech chip manufacturing using diamonds as part of microchips, using diamonds as a process. But we talked about ways to connect, and Rich was able to join us for a while in those discussions, and then I took him down. He talked to some of our faculty in the manufacturing area, Jeff Hines and others, and looked at that. So they are interested. They're working with Argonne National Laboratory, and he said once they bring that in and set that up, that they want to start working with us on creating a technicians program for our students. And then actually we're going to invite him to the STEM Girls Conference too, because he was interested to have him speak there actually. And then finally, we found other areas of interest to work together as he opens up this entrepreneurial center there. And so he went and introduced them to our Small Business Development Center, and we talked to them a little bit about working together. So we'll be following up on all that. There'll be a second meeting scheduled, but I thought you'd find that interesting in terms of looking at entrepreneurialism. So just a couple other quick things. Salute the Gospel, just a reminder, that's coming up Saturday, February 28th. And we also have the newly tenured faculty reception coming up March 10th, but we'll have that in update. And then next week we have the Lake County Partners annual meeting. So we'll call around to all of you, see if you're coming to that. It's breakfast meeting, 7:15 in Marriott Resort in Lincolnshire. So let us know if you're interested. And that allows me to turn it over again to Vice President David Gazy to talk about the master plan.
Before we go there, I'd like to ask a question about the Salute to Gospel. Donnie McClurkin is a fairly large artist in the gospel world. Are we using this in any way as a marketing event? So tell me, what are we doing to, get maybe some of these participants to sign up for a class at Holloway County?
I know for the last, I'll say 3 or 4 years, we've had our registration people there, our recruiters there.
Okay.
I'm hopeful that they'll be there again. I haven't heard that they're not, so.
We'll check on that.
Typically, we have a table
Mhm.
out front where our recruiters there, and they're handing out information. We also take it as an opportunity to highlight some of our successful students, and so that people can see, this is an
So what do you
opportunity.
mean, that is someone speaking on the stage about successful students, or what
The
do you mean
students,
highlight?
no, the students themselves actually be speaking.
The law
Yeah.
of Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Joanna Cotton gets up and talks too about the connection. We really, I went to that originally when I came here, and then I've seen this over the few times that I've gone there also. I usually get there about every other year, but you can actually see that they really tried to put a lot more of CLC into it, mentioning the connections, coming to school. I'll probably be doing an introduction there this week, so, yeah.
And is there any results as far as students that actually sign up for something as a result of attending that event? I mean, otherwise it's just fluff, really. So I'm just curious about, is there any results?
I would, I'll answer honestly, I doubt that we've been able to tie it directly to attending the Salute to Gospel to a registration. Because our recruiters are there basically to hand out information.
Okay, so it's kind of like a passive recruiting.
Yeah.
It's not.
We're not getting their names in the booth. We can
Yes,
see
well, there's
sign up,
contact
yeah.
forms that they can fill out, yeah. So,
Okay.
and then we'll follow up from those.
Yeah, we could. Okay, then we'll move on to David.
Thank you. First, very negligent in that acknowledging all the hard work that Andy Williams did and Christy Hughes on email information earlier. They just have worked very hard for the board, and particularly over the last couple months. And it's going to, as you saw from the shortfall, how hard they're going to be working.
Well, thank you.
I thankfully don't have another presentation for you, but
Please.
highlight 4 projects. Just before this meeting, I left the construction kickoff meeting with the Capital Development Board and Path Construction and Leggett Architects to kick off the science building. Our first meeting is called the pre-construction meeting. We have now confirmed that you will start to see activity during the week of March 23rd, spring break week, so that when everyone returns from spring break the first week of April, they will already start to see construction activity. We are suggesting that we have a groundbreaking during that period of time. Dr. Weber and his staff are reaching out to the governor's office first to see if the governor is available, has some available during that time. So, but we don't have a specific date yet.
We're giving a range of dates. Actually, it's the dates when they're out of, the dates we had today when they're out of session. That's probably when we think it'll be most available. But that's essentially what the last week in March and the first weekend.
There's a couple week break.
Yeah, there's a couple week break there. That's what we're going to. Right now, we're working through actually Aaron Lawler and Senator Link on that to see if we can line up there.
At our South Lake campus, the Vernon Hills planning staff has recommended and approved our variances, and we'll be recommending them for approval at the next week's meeting of the Vernon Hills City Council. We intend to go advertise for bid the next day and bring that award to the March board meeting. We also thought that would be a great time, since we have the advisory committee and all of the board there, to hold a smaller but still significant groundbreaking at that time in the atrium. So if we could all plan for that. We have 2 more groundbreakings that are going to occur. We've already awarded the geothermal bid. It is going to start work as soon as the ground thaws. Hopefully sometime in late, it could be July, but we have a very large Greentown event in the fourth week of May, and we thought that would be a good time when we have all of our interested sustainability partners on campus to showcase that project. There won't be much to show. There will be a big drill, but we can at least assure people we're not fracking on campus. So. And then finally, not to leave one side of the campus left out, the middle of the campus, the cafe and student activities. We want to get your feedback on this because that is going to start on May 18th, which is the Monday after graduation. We thought it would be a great opportunity, since that is mostly now going to be student space, to involve the students in what that groundbreaking would be. And lo and behold, we have everyone on campus that weekend. So one suggestion that came about was perhaps either doing lunch or even in lieu of the dinner or in between the dinner, of doing a groundbreaking event for the core of the campus during graduation. What do you think?
Well, let's let you think about that, and I'll tell you what, we're going to give you all these dates with a little summary of each one. The tricky one to think about, and we want to see if we can involve students too, as David said, is that May graduation date. But we do have that break between the two sessions, you know, the morning and the afternoon. So that might be a great one to do a quick groundbreaking. Invite everybody who's there to a quick lunch with you and start the afternoon.
Where we have graduation this year?
Pardon me?
Where we having graduation?
Here, same.
In the tent or?
Yeah. Yeah, no, in the other
PE
building.
building.
Yeah, PE building.
So
Two
we're-
sessions.
2 sessions. Yep.
So you got that break in between.
Between, and that'd be
Yeah.
a perfect time.
Yeah, should work, everybody be here. So that'll be nice. So we've lined up a couple of these when you're all here anyway, you don't have to, and then we'll give you those other dates. You can look at your calendars and let us know. Okay? Anything else, David?
Everything else is
Great. He's going to be saying that every month. Okay.
You're not discriminating in any area, because you're going to cause disruption for everybody.
That's right, that's right. Equal.
Equal opportunity.
Yeah,
That's
there
right.
you go. Everyone will be a
He was left in place.
And do you have any qualms about release of monies from the state? Release of monies from the state for any of our state projects?
Much less so about the science building, obviously. They made the very intentional decision to release that and
Good.
have it move forward. We've received very favorable information about Lakeshore. Not only did we get all of our schematic design in early this time, but the Capital Development Board said that they are receiving a lot of interest from the governor's office about updates and ensuring that we are staying on time and on schedule. So we're taking that as good news. We do know that the mayor has met with the governor, and this was one of his 2 topic items to meet with him on. So I'm feeling hopeful, and we're not been given any indication, and we were anxiously waiting to see what was going to happen in the budget release. There was no indication that any money is being moved out of the existing bonds.
Okay.
So the only thing that the CDB has said to us is that they are a little concerned that we've not completed our land sale transactions. But we are now daily contact with the city, and those have progressed very, very well.
Okay. Just for information, the Village of Grays Lake has indicated that they would like maybe a presentation at a village board meeting at a future date. Have one of you
That's a great
guys-
idea.
2 guys there with the architects. So
I was trying to get a breakfast with Mike Ellis, kind of talk through a bunch of things, so but that's a great idea. We'll make that happen.
thank you.
Okay, any other questions? And on to Provost Taney and talk what we were doing this week.
Just a quick student success update. Yesterday morning, Dr. Weber and I hosted our first high school alliance meeting. We invited 8 schools. We had 7 of them show up. We had a great discussion. Topics included our summer bridge program. We kind of gave them an overview of the success rates there, the potential of starting a fall bridge program. We discussed dual credit and an early college option, developmental education, placement testing, and the opportunity for shared professional development between our faculty and the high school faculty. We did develop 2 subcommittees to move our work forward. One is focusing on dual credit and kind of the early college model. The other is focused on curriculum alignment and remediation.
You know, one of the things we started out talking about is why did we select you? Well, when you take those institutions, the 8 districts, the 9 schools, and actually we agreed afterwards to add on 2 more schools. So when you take all 10 of those districts, it's 12 high schools, and it's over 70% of the freshmen who come here. So 22 high schools in our district, but these 10 provide right now over 70% of the students coming. So we're very and there was a lot of enthusiasm for working together. It was good. So we're really looking forward to building this stronger.
We certainly encourage you to. Maybe I missed this. At what level were they here?
These are the superintendent.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and we all recognize, though, that in order for this to be successful, we're going to have to include a lot of people, organizations, including faculty and principals and department chairs.
He needs to permeate throughout the organization. Certainly,
Sure.
the superintendents have to buy in.
Yes. Yeah, I was actually very pleased with their buy-in.
Good, excellent.
We've had discussions like this before, and it never really seemed to get traction. This time they seemed very excited.
And we've talked about the next meeting, we're going to set up an organizational structure for this, and data sharing agreements.
And our next meeting is on April 13th.
Well, that's the student success update then, Provost, and that concludes my remarks.